Good evening, everyone. We want to welcome you to our regularly scheduled school board meeting for October 10th, 2016. We have all board members present. We have a quorum. We'd like to ask Ms. Blaylock to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, if you would please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Blaylock. The chair will now entertain a motion to adopt the agenda that's in front of you. Moved by Ms. Blaylock, second. Second by Mr. Blaine. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposes? Hearing none, the motion carries 7-0. We have no public hearing this evening, so we'll move to 3.01, Chancellor Lightning Regiment Marching Band. Ms. Flanard.
Good morning, Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. I just want to get them all out at one time.
Fast day.
That's right. Good evening, Mr. Braswell, members of the board, Dr. Baker and Dr. Martin. Let's see if I can get through this evening. I only have about 4 items to read, so who knows what will be before us. The Chancellor High School Band Program is a 2015-2016 Virginia Honor Band, and the Chancellor High School Music Department is a current Blue Ribbon Award winner. The Chancellor Band Program will present their fall concert on Monday, October 24th at 7 p.m. This concert will feature the Jazz Band, Symphonic Orchestra, Symphonic Band, and Wind Ensemble. Please join us for this free concert on October 24th. Chancellor High School's Lightning Regiment Marching Band has competed across the state of Virginia this fall, earning several top awards with their competition show, The World Without Us. Today, the juniors and seniors from the Lightning Regiment Marching Band will present 2 selections of music that have been prepared to play in the stands at football games. Feel free to tap your foot, clap along, or even get up and dance. I would like to say also that our Chancellor High School Band Director is Ryan Adair.
Spread center in the middle. Okay. And we'll conduct on either side. Make sure you can see around this.
Outstanding job, Chancellor Lightning Regiment. Let's give them another round of applause. I'm ready for the referee to blow the whistle. To play some football on Friday night. That's all right. We're going to move on with 4.01, Fine Arts Recognition. Ms. Flenard, please continue.
Thank you. This month starts the beginning of the 2016-2017 art displays, and we're proud to display the artwork in the school board office from 4 of our schools. They are Harrison Road Elementary, art teacher Aaron Watson, Riverview Elementary, art teacher Ann Fluez, Chancellor Middle School, art teacher Shannon McKay, and Spotsylvania High School, art teacher Frank Carr. We celebrated these students, the artists, previously with certificates of appreciation and a reception held in honor prior to this meeting beginning.
Give them a round of applause. 4.02, Superintendent's Award. Did we provide that one earlier as well? Could you just read the young lady's name again for
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our Superintendent Award winner is Presley Purcell, Riverview Elementary. Her art teacher is Ann Fluez. Her artwork is hanging in the superintendent's office this month. And we would like to thank Ms. Presley and Ms. Fluez and recognize their outstanding accomplishment. And we do have her art on an easel this evening, and then it will go back to the superintendent's office for the rest of the month.
Thank you. At 4.03, Virginia Section of American Chemical Society Distinguished Middle School Science Teacher Award.
Thank you. It's with great pleasure that I ask Miss Lisa Wynn to come forward at this time. On September 16th, the Virginia section of the American Chemical Society announced their Distinguished Middle School Science Teacher Award recipient. And I'm pleased to share that Miss Wynn was named the recipient of this prestigious award. Ms. Wynn is currently an 8th grade science teacher, department chair at Thornburg Middle, and serves as our elementary science liaison. And she's been teaching with Spotsylvania County Public Schools since 2001. As part of the award, Ms. Wynn's school will receive $300. Congratulations on this honor. And if we have any family or others that support Ms. Wynn, if you could please stand to be recognized. I know Mr. Tower is very proud. Thank you.
We're very proud of our teachers. They do great work every day, and we rarely have an opportunity to recognize them in public because they all do a wonderful job, but when they do exceptional work, it's an honor to have them come forward to be recognized by this division and receive the round of applause that they're so worthy of. So we thank you once again. Is there any other board members that have any comments before we move on? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to 5.01, public comments. Dr. Martin.
Good evening. The public comment segment of our board meetings is a time to receive recommendations, suggestions, concerns, and comments from the general public. Each speaker is allotted 5 minutes, and we ask that they clearly state their name, address, and/or voting district for the board. A speaker may request additional time from the board should one's 5-minute allotment expire. We ask that you keep your comments focused on the issues and that all speakers maintain a level of decorum and mutual respect for one another. Mr. Chairman, we don't have anyone signed up at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board? Seeing none, we'll close 5.01 and move on to board member comments, and we're going to start this evening with Dr. Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Much appreciated, and it's good to be back. I wanted to give a shout out to Chancellor High School Marching Band as they were playing it. It does bring back the days when my daughter was at Chancellor High School in the marching band. I worked with the pit crew and was able to see them perform, so it does bring back a lot of memories. And they did a very, very good job, and they continue to maintain the tradition of Chancellor High School. I also wanted to just mention a few things that are coming up. I will be attending the Teacher of the Year Award recognition next Monday with the superintendent and Mr. Braswell. And also there's an upcoming Fleet Service meeting on October the 20th. So with that, it's good to be back, and thanks for all the support.
Thank you, Dr. Meyer. Mr. Blaine.
Board member reports, but I think this is appropriate right now. CGS, as you all know, is one of our special programs, and they have a program coming up on Thursday night of this week, a workshop actually called a Toolkit for Success Workshop, and they have it broken into two areas, one for freshmen and sophomores, which will be focused on study skills, special ways for students to learn and remember things, and a second group is working with the seniors and the juniors in terms of where do you find money to go to college, how do you identify potential scholarship locations, and how do you go about applying for things. And I think that should turn out to be very beneficial. Also, just briefly, I talked with Career Tech, and their year is well on the way, and they're having great fun, and every kid is being challenged consistently.
Thank you, Mr. Blaine. Ms. Grant.
I don't have anything.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley.
Thank you, Mr. Braswell. I have just a couple of reminders. I want to first just remind the parents that the impact aid forms went home on Friday, and just to please fill those out and get them returned as soon as you can. And then also the calendar, there was a survey that went out for parents. So if a parent did not receive that, then you can welcome to email me and I will get you that link. And then also in it, I believe it's on our division website as well. And then this weekend, starting on Friday, and then also on Saturday at the Walmart in South Point, we have our Rock Out, Knockout Homelessness event, and where we will be collecting supplies for our students in need. And some of the things that are needed are laundry soap, body wash, socks, undergarments, deodorant, feminine products, shampoo, and dish soap. And this list will be on our website as well. That is all I have this evening, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. Mr. Twigg.
One item, please. Clean up and cash in is in for our high schools. Last winter, I connected with our environmental manager of the county, and which was offering a safe opportunity for our high school clubs and athletes to clean up our roadsides and to make money at it, and with prizes at the end. It ran from like March to May. This year, Clean Up and Cash In is the title. All high schools should have been notified, and I would like to impress each of you as school leaders to push this on your students. It's a great way to serve the community and also help themselves. And so just look for periodic reviews and updates on that, and marketing coming from the administration office. And I got involved a little bit with them last year. It was a lot of fun. The students loved performing the activity. And again, it's a great way to make money. So look for that in your schools this fall and spring, running from now till April, I believe. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Twigg. Ms. Blaylock.
Thank you, Mr. Braswell. I just want to echo what Ms. Shelley said about our homeless population. We will be collecting donations. I won't go over that again, but I will be doing a radio talk show in the morning from 8 to 9 on News Talk AM 1230 with Ted Schubel, talking about the event this weekend. So if you want more details on it, tune in then, or go to the division's website, follow our Facebook on the division, follow the Twitter, or you can go to mine and you will see all the flyers and the details of how you can donate and support our homeless population this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blaylock. have just a couple comments. Really proud of everything that our staff and board has done this year as it pertains to the budget. And as soon as the budget was over, it began. And so we need to start leaning forward in the old proverbial foxhole again, because next year is going to present some interesting challenges as it pertains to the budget. We look forward to hearing and receiving input from our teachers and administrators as we go about preparing ourselves for the budget year next year. And I would encourage my colleagues to continually reach out to their counterparts in the Board of Supervisors to share with them the needs of this division. In addition to that, I had the great honor and opportunity to attend with Ms. Blaylock to a Cortland renovation presentation. I forgot the exact date because I have a momentary lapse of memory, but I would like to ask Dr. Baker and his comments to elaborate on the proceedings at that particular event. As there's some really great things that are happening in our division, and there's going to do some really great things happening at Cortland High School, and I want our public to take an active role in what's going on there and participate, because once the plans are drawn up and the process begins, we're going to go and make a great high school environment for the Cortland High School. As you know, it's one of the older high schools in the area, and it's time for it to be renovated. So we're looking forward to the renovation projects at Cortland High School. That being said, the board will also in November, the 16th through the 18th, have an opportunity to retreat to Williamsburg for the Virginia School Board Association annual meeting. And so just make sure you have that on your schedule. With that being said, I turn it over to Dr. Baker for his comments.
Thank you, Mr. Braswell. And ladies and gentlemen of the board, I was going to just thank all the board members for their updates, and I wasn't going to add anything, but given Mr. Braswell's segue into the work of a steering committee that is seeking input from a variety of stakeholders, I will provide an update to all of the board and the public, as I have done with individuals of the board. BCWH is the architectural firm that was selected to develop the design for the Cortland High School renovation. And I echo what Mr. Braswell said in terms of it being our oldest facility. As they developed the project, keeping in mind an alignment with our strategic plan, particularly our focus on teaching and learning environments that are going to both engage and keep our students safe, our students and staff safe and secure. They developed a proposal for that. They shared it with an internal group of stakeholders, staff primarily, and from there, our direction to them was to gain additional input from stakeholders outside of the school building in the central office. And so, in addition to Mr. Braswell and Ms. Blaylock, who served as representatives for the school board, also parents, teachers, and we will also be engaging students not only that currently attend Cortland High School, but some that may, and we believe that all of the students can tell us best the way they learn best. And so we are going to be engaging them in feedback and in providing us as much input as possible to further inform the development of this project. But I think suffice it to say, a lot of the cost that goes into a project like this has to do with the mechanical systems and the foundational structural challenges, and then the rest of the fun stuff that we always like to look at is the design and the learning spaces. But I do believe not only will the aging facilities be updated, but I also think they have at least an exciting proposal that we will continue to provide feedback on that can, over a a short period of time, transform that facility into truly having the look and feel of a new school. And we also believe that it can free up some considerable space over at our Career and Technical Center, where we also believe we can maximize that opportunity now and in the future. So we're real excited, and we'll continue to provide updates over the next several months as we continue to gain insight into that project.
Dr. Baker, thank you very much for that report. I want to move to 6.01 board committee reports. Do we have any board committee reports? Ms. Grant.
I just want to elaborate. Ms. Shelley touched on this earlier, but from the Finance Committee, they want to stress that on October 7th, the impact aid forms were sent home with all Spotsylvania County school students. If you're a parent in military service or if you're employed on federal property, by completing an impact aid form for each child in your household, which are due back on October 22nd, you will enable the Spotsylvania County schools to receive additional revenue assistance through that impact aid program. So we definitely encourage you to fill out those forms because it does result in revenue to the schools.
Thank you. Any other board reports? Go ahead.
Just to update the board, the calendar committee continues to work. We don't have a set time for the calendar to be voted on. However, we expect in the next forthcoming months, a survey has went out. We expect that back, and then more input from the community will take place. There's a lot more work to be done, but hopefully we'll have that in the next few months.
Thank you. Mr. Blaine?
Baron, I would like to make a kind of an official report relative to the CGS as well. Our board is meeting in a week and a half at King George High School, and we'll be reviewing the budget, number one, but also attendance figures, and then reworking the budget based on where we stand.
Thank you, Mr. Blaine. Any others? I have a report. Head Start will be meeting tomorrow, the 11th of October, at the Head Start office, which is now temporarily behind the Marshall Center. And that meeting will be at 11 o'clock, and it'll be the first Head Start meeting of the year. Moving on to 7.01 and 7.02, consent agenda items. Dr. Martin.
On the consent agenda this evening are the minutes of the September 26, 2016 regular meeting and the October 10th, 2016 joint legislative reception and donations which are usual and customary. Staff asks that the consent agenda be approved.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. Do we have a motion? Ms. Grant has moved. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Blaine. Properly moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Any opposes?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to abstain since I was not here for the last meeting.
Yes, sir. So the motion carries 6-0 with one abstention. Moving on to 8.01, budget amendment number 2 for fiscal year 2016 capital improvement plan, rollover into fiscal year 2017. Mr. Epperco.
Thank you very much, Mr. Braswell, members of the board, Dr. Baker, Dr. Martin. I'm going to ask at this time that Kenny Forrest, our Director of Transportation, and Pete Zakari, our Director of Technology, come up and join me at the podium in case you might have questions. Sean Hockaday is dealing with a family medical situation. He's unable to be here tonight. It's always good to have people behind you that are supportive and bigger than you are, and sometimes meaner. In all seriousness, this agenda item is a standard annual request that is made to the school board. The revised FY 2016 capital projects fund budget was $23,083,403 as approved by the school board. As a result of closing out FY 2016, the CIP rollover fund balance is $3,672,315, and it will be spent in FY 2017 for capital transportation, technology, and maintenance projects. This budget amendment does not require approval from the Board of Supervisors because these funds were previously appropriated and they remain in the fund balance. If this amendment is approved by the school board, the revised FY 2017 capital projects fund budget will be $27,130,927 as shown below. As you can see, the FY17 CIP original budget, as I just said, was $23,458,612. The FY16 technology rollover is in the amount of $718,321. The FY16 maintenance rollover is in the amount of $2,260,264, and the FY transportation rollover is $693,730, for a total rollover amount of the $3,672,315 figure that we just discussed. So the revised FY17 CIP budget would then be $27,130,927. So staff recommendation is that the school board approve the budget amendment number 2 as presented. You have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Epico. Do we have a motion? Moved by Ms. Shelley. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Twigg. Questions? Anyone? I have a couple questions. How did we acquire the savings from the previous year into this year? What occurred to allow us to have over $3 billion of savings?
In many cases, especially in the area of maintenance, we actually have projects that carry over, that actually start in one fiscal year, and they're carried over until the next fiscal year. So it's not necessarily savings per se. You're talking about a project that began in one year and will be finishing up in the FY17. Gentlemen, I don't know if you want to add to that or.
Yeah, does that was it all maintenance savings, or was there savings in technology and transportation as well?
Well, there were savings in all three, but primarily, again, what you're talking about are projects that were not completed in the one fiscal year, because oftentimes it's because of the planning necessary, the permitting that's necessary, the purchasing provisions that we have to go through. It typically will take, in some occasions, more than one fiscal year.
Okay.
There have been savings in the areas of fuel, as I think we've talked about before, and transportation in particular. We're hopeful that that may continue, but the world is the world, and we can only hope.
Okay, and when we broke out the $718,320 for technology role, that's what was left over, right? That's okay. That's how that. Okay, so that's what's left over, and when we put it in the 2017 budget, so all that's doing is plussing up the maintenance, the technology, and the transportation numbers because they're rolling over into the same exact, what was I trying to say, the same criteria for maintenance or transportation.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, hearing no other questions, we'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposes? Hearing none, the motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
8.02, first reading approval of proposed revisions to school board policy IIBEA, acceptable use of technology and its regulations, IIBEA-R, acceptable use of electronic resources and internet safety. Mr. Zakari.
Good evening, Mr. Braswell, members of the board, Dr. Baker, and Dr. Martin. Due to the increased use of digital resources in the classroom, the division would like to provide internet access to students who have the ability to use their personal devices on the school network. As you may recall, we participated in a pilot program at several of the high schools to measure impact on our wireless infrastructure and to determine how BYOD impacted instructional practices. We are now ready to support a division-wide BYOD program at all the high schools, as a wireless network has been added to provide students with a way to connect to a filtered access. With our move to Google Apps, we've also added additional changes we're scheduled to provide clarity to the access of accounts to students who leave the school division or graduate. Staff's recommendation that the school board approves for first reading the revisions to policies IIBA, acceptable use of technology, and IIBA-R, acceptable use of electronic resources and internet safety as presented.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Blaine will move and seconded by Ms. Blaylock. Any discussion? Ms. Shelley.
Hi, Mr. Zakari. Just a couple of questions that I had. Where it says that they would be hooked into our Wi-Fi, is there anything that blocks them from using their own wireless, their own 4G?
No, there's nothing for that. When they connect to our Wi-Fi, they hit the internet through our filter.
Okay.
If they turn off their Wi-Fi and they use their 4G, they're just going out as if they're regular data plan.
Okay, and then my concern is if they're using their regular data plan, and because through our Wi-Fi there are filters. If they're using their regular data, there's no filters. Do we have? Is there something through this or through the code of conduct which would that be unacceptable use versus acceptable use?
There's really. It says that they should connect through our Wi-Fi if they're going to use their devices. Currently, it's left to the building principal to allow devices. If they use their own data plan, there's really nothing we can do, and there's nothing we can do to prevent that either. That's actually sort of an FCC regulation that they do, we can't interfere with any type of signal or anything of that nature. So, no, if they use their data, they're going to use their own data.
Okay, no, I didn't want us to block
Yeah, no,
anything. I
that's-
just wanted to see, because I didn't think we could. But, okay, so, if they're doing something they shouldn't be doing on their phone, or their device, then it comes under the acceptable use or use of an electronic device, and then it turns over to the student code of conduct at that point.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. Mr. Blaine?
Follow up briefly on that. It seems to me that we could have if that was a problem where they're using their own database, and we found that objectionable for some reason, that we certainly could set up a policy and say, if you're going to use your own device in this school building, you have no choice, you must use our Wi-Fi, and if not, and we discover that, you're going to lose your device or something to that effect. You could do that if we had to, I'm assuming.
I guess we could, yes, I believe we could put that in a policy that if they want to use their own devices, they should be connected to our Wi-Fi.
If I could chime in, right now, the students already have these phones, and they already do this every single day. So I think we would be taking a step that maybe we're not ready for if we try to control that part of it.
I'm not suggesting that. I'm just, you said it, we couldn't do certain things, and I'm just saying perhaps there is a way if it became imperative for us to do that. My other fundamental comment, I'd like to compliment you on taking the initiative to keep expanding this. More and more, we depend on that Wi-Fi connection, and my colleague here has been working on some of that as well, but I'm happy to see us moving aggressively forward.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposes? Hearing none, the motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Move on to 8.03, approval of proposed revisions to regulation IGB-GA-R, virtual learning experience. Mr. Zakari.
Good evening again, Mr. Braswell, members of the board, Dr. Baker and Dr. Martin. Since 2013, Spotsylvania County Public Schools has offered a virtual pilot program for students in grades K through 2. Staff would like to expand this program to include third graders this year and possibly beyond in the future. Okay. It is staff's recommendation that the school board approves the changes to regulation IGB-EA-R virtual learning experience as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Zakari. Do we have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Dr. Meyer, seconded by Mr. Twigg. Any discussion? No discussion. We'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposes? Hearing none, the motion carries 7-0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Informational items 9.01, customary, I believe. 10.01, unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? Mr. Twigg.
To follow with that last conversation, the issue was brought to your attention via me earlier in the year with regard to us trying to review and see how we can enhance internet in our schools toward assisting our many students who did not have the internet access. Well, the county staff and our board, or Dr. Baker and Mr. Blaine and I were participating in our library system, have been meeting this late summer and early fall, and we're making progress toward providing that service in our schools and throughout our community. Post Oak, particularly in my district, has extended library and computer hours on Thursdays to 4:30, and Spotsylvania High has flex time during their instructional day. That's ongoing, and so there are strides made toward helping our students get access on an as-need basis, extra access during the school day. That's all good. In the near future, we'll be piloting a limited number of hotspot support laptops, as discussed a moment ago, or at least the plug-in piece that we can offer up internet access for some students to take home and use on a nightly basis. Further, the county staff is working to open up a few locations throughout our county on their own merit. So all of this together should comprise a huge step forward toward helping the many people in our two-thirds country district county obtain access to the internet after school hours or during school hours, but having extra time. I have been totally impressed in the teachers and principals I've spoken with, where everybody 100% thus far has been very helpful in understanding of the problem and very helpful on an individual basis to their students. I've heard no issues there, and that's exciting to hear. So we're making progress. Our long-term goal remains to participate with the county and open up more schools after hours. But we do have a few little things in place by which we are attempting to address and help the needs of our students, which is pretty high, at least out in Livingston District. So thank you to those teachers and principals on the ground there trying to help that issue along, help us solve that, and we're making strides on our end toward helping this situation progress as well. So more to come, but old business and just an update.
Thank you. So that without, there's any other comments, any other board member comments as it pertains to that subject? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Twigg, for the update in regards to the internet work that you've done there. Thank you, sir. 10.02, new business. Any new business? Look, Dr. Meyer.
Mr. Chairman, just as a request for our soon upcoming meeting, or our next meeting if possible, the VSBA Delegate Assembly book, that because the chairman and the vice chair will need to have direction from this board as to our thoughts when you vote. And if that could be on the agenda for the next meeting, so that we have time, in case there's further thought, or we need further time to think, it would be good if, if we could put it on the agenda, we can take a look at it, maybe straightforward, and we can just vote and give you direction. But we do need to do that before the November 16th VSBA meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Meyer. Is that feasible? Thank you, Dr. Baker. So we should have that on the agenda the next meeting on the, I believe, the 24th. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Meyer, for the update on that. Any other new business? Any other new business? Hearing none, we'll move to 11.01 and 11.02. Let me say 11.01, excuse me. Resolve that this board conduct a closed meeting for the following purposes: consideration of candidates for employment, assignment, promotion, demotion, and discipline of employees or resignation of employees who have a contractual commitment to the board as permitted by 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia, consideration of student disciplinary appeals as permitted by Section 2.2-3711A2 of the Code of Virginia. We have a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Dr. Meyer. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Second by Mr. Twigg. Thank you, sir. Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposes? Hearing none, the motion carries 7-0. We are in closed session. And a second by Mr. Twigg to re-enter open session. We have it's been probably moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposes? Hearing none, the motion carries 7-0. Certification of closed meeting. Whereas the Spotsylvania County School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this school board that such a closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law, now therefore be it resolved that the Spotsylvania County School Board hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirement under this chapter, and only such public matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened or heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting. We have a motion for certification.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Dr. Meyer. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Shelley. Roll call vote, starting with Ms. Graham.
Gramp, aye.
Blaine, aye.
Braswell, aye.
Blaylock, aye.
Meyer, aye.
Shelley, aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 7-0. See, items from the closed meeting, Dr. Martin.
Mr. Chairman, we have two motions from closed session. I'll read them separately. First motion is that the school board accepts the recommendation of the superintendent for personnel appointments, assignments, resignations, and the request for extended leave of absence as presented in closed meeting and permitted by Section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia.
We have a motion. Moved by Mr. Blaine, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Shelley. All in favor? Any opposes? Hearing none, motion carries 7-0. Continue, please.
Second motion, the school board upheld the superintendent's recommendation in review of the appeal of decisions regarding student matters 2016-005, 2016-005A, 2016-005B, and 2016-005C as presented and discussed in closed meeting and permitted by Section 2.2-3711A2 of the Code of Virginia.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. Do we have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Dr. Meyer. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Twigg. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? Hearing none, motion carries 7-0. Adjournment. We have a motion. Motion to adjourn by Ms. Gramp. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Shelley. All in favor? Aye. Any opposes? Motion carries 7-0. We're adjourned.